nationally and all that kind of stuff. But you know what else they can do? They can take all the wealth and they can take a train out of town. And the whole country can be poor as can be overnight because they can decide, okay, we're out of here, and not all the jobs are gone, all the wealth is gone.
Okay. That's no new story either. You just described
Right.
Southern Appalachia between let's see, 1870, 1880, and well, through the Depression. One of the things, same thing. Yes, the railroads came, but the railroad people rolled up their railroad and brought them out west once they cut all the trees down.
Yeah.
This area was in a major depression long before the world and the nation was in a depression because of those practices, those clear cutting of resources, those clear cutting of practices, and because the companies the boom or bust mentality, the companies that invested in the area and gave jobs to people, okay, when they left there was nothing. They couldn't farm off their land. They were not self-sufficient, and they were used to the commodities. Commodities way of living to get their means to live. So it's happened before, and you got to be careful on the systems on how things are balanced.
That's right. We need to learn from these lessons and not let this stuff continue.
You need to learn from history because
go wrong.
Even though the tools are different, the results will be the same.
Yeah. And if you have a strong middle class, if the majority of your society is middle class and the majority of the wealth of the nation is spread out pretty evenly throughout the nation, nobody's going to get up and move out of town overnight and take the wealth with them. It's solid and it's here and it works for everybody.
But the problem is when I was a kid, back in the 70s, middle class was $6,000 to $15,000 a year.
Right, and now that's
now
nothing.
Middle class is $60,000 to $100,000 a year.
To buy a house in Asheville, the average wage that you'd have to bring in is $26 to $27 an hour.
Yeah.
So you do the math.
And how many
jobs offer $26 to $27 an hour?
And around here, none. I mean, there's people out there that the wife and the husband
you're
are
talking
both
about
working.
balance. You're talking about balance. This is part of the balance.
So basically, nobody living here working for a living can afford to own a house here.
Well, you got wives and husbands both working. And they're only making $35,000 to $40,000 a year together.
And when the value of their house goes up so high, then they wind up to the point they're both working jobs and they're not making enough money to pay the taxes on their land.
They can't even afford
and the land gets taken away from them. Land that's been in the family for 100 years gets taken away. That's enough to get somebody upset, you would think.
Absolutely. You'd think so. You can't even afford.
You know what I'm talking. You agree with what I'm saying, don't you?
The average family can't even afford a new car because car prices are more than they're making in a year.
Excuse me. Yeah.
Just one car.
Right.
So they're having to buy these older cars and they're breaking down on them, and then their job. It's just a catch-22.
Yeah, right.
It's a catch-22.
So we're going the way of Brazil then. It's what started.
We're going back toward that.
Back to plutocracy.
So it could be a matter of, and I think that a lot of this is going on a world scale.
Maybe.
Oh, by the way, did you remove one of those? I was curious.
Nuh-uh. No, did somebody take one?
Well, you see.
No, somebody took one.
Hey, yeah. Well, the
You
squiggly lights is
see,
missing.
I just noticed that when I turned them on today.
Is it in the...
I don't know. I turned them on. I noticed it when I turned them on today.
Then somebody stole their first equipment.
Because I'm wanting to. I've been last night as I wasn't sleeping. I was thinking about how I was going to fix the lights.
I noticed you didn't have a blue ring around you today, and that blue ring when you did the background.
Where's the blue ring?
You don't have it now.
Okay.
So that's the correct way to set that light. Then.
Well, I'm working on it. It's not quite right, but I'm working on it. I want it to point more straight up at the ceiling.
We'll probably need two more, don't we? One there and one over there.
But anyway, I'm trying to work on it, and then I turned them on today, but then I think we're going to have to bounce them off the ceiling. You see what I mean?
Well, no, that one was here last week, wasn't it?
The last time I looked, I thought it was.
Because you asked me. I remember you asked me if I was the one who kept pulling it down.
It rolled under the chair and
What
against the
about
wall.
that? Now the people in New Orleans, me and my family, my wife and kids, when we were down in New Orleans a couple weeks ago, it was all you could do to keep them crying.
Uh-huh.
The federal government.
Was it that way for you when you went down?
state of Louisiana.
Davine's from New Orleans.
Yeah, the federal government in the state of Louisiana has failed those people. They
No.
have failed them. I mean, they've done it more than failed them. They've just forsaken them. They've just left them out. Now, see, last week when I came up here was the
But they
first time.
didn't forsake the people in Miami when the hurricane came
It's
through
because
there.
Jeb Bush was the governor.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, they
And they didn't forsake all of Mississippi because Haley Barbour was governor.
Right.
They poured all kinds of money into cleaning up after hurricanes in Miami and stuff like
And now
that.
FEMA did come up and clean up some, according to my girlfriend.
Yeah.
And the streetcar is running from Canal Street to Napoleon
Uh-huh.
I did see
and
that.
back.
I did see
Uh-huh.
that.
Yay!
So that's
Bourbon
progress.
Street looks pretty
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
But the thing about it is, the people I talked to down there and interviewed, and see, last week when I come back, we talked about Area 51, but now
We're talking New Orleans this week.
the people I talked to and interviewed down there, like one guy, for example, him and his family, the insurance company gave him $5,000 for his house.
Right,
The federal government gave him $2,500.
right.
And that's all the money he's received.
There you go.
That's it, $7,500. Now he did say that he did say this. He said, if I had to commend the federal government for one thing, it would be that my house loan was forgiven.
Hey,
My
man.
whole house loan was forgiven. So
Yeah, so that's something.
Okay.
that's
what's up?
something that the federal government managed to get done. Okay, but still, $7,500 is all he's got.
All right, I'm
And
going
so
to put you
they're
up
still
to
living in
the
this
to the
trailer.
mic, and you say that same
Camper.
thing. Okay.
The
right
FEMA
now.
trailer,
Home, it's a
which is
home.
only meant to
Hey, everybody,
house
how you
people
doing?
for like 6 weeks.
Wait a
These
minute.
people are building decks on them.
Wait a
Yeah.
minute.
As if they're gonna
Okay,
be a
there.
permanent
See if you
Yeah,
resident.
they're
There, go. Go, try it again.
Okay, hey everybody, I'm watching and this is the best thing on right now, guaranteed.
Okay, there you go. So if you're watching this show, there's no use looking around the other channels.
And
Matt
we
already
didn't offer
checked.
that man a pizza.
That's
he
right.
called out voluntarily.
There
Well,
are
thank
still,
you.
We went on
Do you
the
know?
outskirts.
You know, I get a nighttime show now.
The ninth
Ward.
ward.
I get a repeat.
It's just
It's flattened.
it's like this.
And did you go like by the
No,
bridge
not
at
every night,
17th
but
Canal?
this will run like at 2 a.m.
So you
like,
saw
you
that
know,
was the
Friday
that
or
was the
Saturday
neighborhood that I
nights,
told you
it's
that
like
they lost
Sundays morning, Saturday
26
morning,
of
something
their
like that.
neighbors,
And,
the elderly
And,
neighbors,
look at
all
the schedule.
died.
Go online and look at the schedule, and you'll be amazed at how many
And
tea
that was
parties
a
you see
very
in the
high-end
AM
neighborhood.
hours. Even
Yeah, that was one of the
look into
things that
sexually
my wife and
explicit
I were
area.
surprised about. Is these people are getting on TV and they're giving this misconception that only the
Mount Dungeon tonight at 11 p.m.
poor
Poor
people.
No.
Have you got your TV on? Can you hear me talk?
I have footage. I walked
Can
inside
you hear me say
houses
Mount
that
Dungeon?
were $500,000, $750,000 homes
Oh yeah.
that aren't worth anything.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And they're just sitting there.
Okay, it's Mount Dungeon at 11
In the
p.m.
lakeside area.
And is everybody going to meet down at the theater for the party, or is it at a different place, or what?
Some of those houses, and we went to where the levee actually broke. They wouldn't let us get too
All
close
right.
to it because they're still doing whatever.
Well, we'll try to see you. We'll try to see you down at the pizza parlor if I can remember it and go there.
$550 million
All right.
so far.
All right, thanks for calling. We'll see you at the tea party sometime soon, I hope.
You know, look what we're doing.
All right.
Type sign,
Be
I
good.
guess. But anyway, I can't see that they've done anything. And then I was talking to some
And
people.
what did you think about on the 17th Street Bridge about the condition of the street?
Isn't that something?
I mean,
It's
potholes
awful.
as
It's
big as
awful.
this table.
I almost lost my van in one of them. I ain't kidding you. I was driving up on it, and it was
know.
like the Grand
That's what-
Canyon just fell off.
Yeah, when I was there in June, my friend said, "Look at this street. You think the least they can do is fix these streets for this
They're
street
not
for
doing
these
anything, though.
people?"
We went through neighborhoods, and I got this all on film. There's garbage bags that's sitting out there full of trash that's been there for 3 years.
2.5 years.
Or two, yeah, well, I just said 3 years.
Over a year.
Yeah, that's still sitting there with food items and stuff. And this is not cleanup from houses. This is
And
trash
old
that they sell.
refrigerators and old couches.
Trees still laying across the road that are just now they're rotten. There's no need to cut them up now. You got to do is kick them and they just fall apart. They've been sitting there so long. They're
Roll
just-
over 'em.
You're having to go around trees in the middle of the streets.
That is.
Fire hydrants still throwing water out. I've been throwing water out ever since that one guy I talked to him. I said, "Has that fire hydrant been spraying water long?" He said, "Ever since the hurricane, that fire hydrant's been spraying water. It's green. The puddle's green. Where the water's been sitting and it just kind of rolls off down off just rolls off down in the gutter and just.
And my friend says you would think that the leadership, that this would be the ideal opportunity for someone who wanted to be a leader to come in and lead here and get us through this.
Yeah.
But there really isn't any leadership.
No, there's not.
And the people who have done anything have had to do it all themselves without any help, except for the people who came in and helped them.
But now the what is it, Astrodome?
The Superdome.
The Superdome. It's been fixed. It looks nice.
Oh yeah.
You know, that all looks nice, but the rest
and
of
the
it.
convention center where all those people were dying of thirst.
Yeah.
And the Superdome. It's been fixed. Yeah.
And you know what really gets you though is what really puts it into perspective. Is when you're driving through these neighborhoods and you look up on the roofs and you still see spray paint on them, help, and they've put X's through it because they've already helped that person.
And they mark how many they found dead.
They mark how many they found dead, and they put their unit number like C8, so it says like 912 C8 EX, which means executed, and then they've got a circle around it. So they executed a search there and didn't find anything, but then you may come up on one that says C8 912 executed, and then they put a plus, so they have C8 912 executed, and if there's nothing there, then they didn't find anything. But if there's something there, then they'll put a 1, 2, or 3 for how many people they found there. And from what I understood from the people, if they were alive, that's all they put. But if there's one dead, there you'll see a slash. Because I asked the guy, so you'll see like 2/1. So that means they found 2 people. One was dead and one was alive.
Oh,
yeah, and that was on 912, and it was Unit CA, for example. The C8 or something like that, and you just see that house after house after house, and then you come up on one every once in a while to have help on it, and it's been extra where they've helped them, and that just makes you stop and you just think, man, this is real, this is 100%.
Well, this is so hard to believe that they've not even picked up the garbage.
They haven't picked up the garbage. They haven't cut down the trees. They hadn't turned off the fire hydrants. Nothing. I mean, the downtown looks good, around, when you get around Bourbon Street and all them places, they all look nice, except for the smell.
Well, I know, but that's extremely unhealthy. Leaving the garbage piled up for 2 years is not a healthy thing.
No, it's not.
See, the garbage being piled up, that's not good.
And then we go into towns, little towns that are off skirts like Woodfin would be to Asheville,
Right.
And I don't know the names of all these places because we were just driving.
Okay.
But we went into one of them, and the whole town is just shut down. They've got both the middle school and the high school are closed. Right. There was a children's hospital there. You may know where I'm talking about. There was a children's hospital there. We had to get back on 10 and head back east a little ways, and then we got off of 3 exits just before you got off the exit to go to.
Are you taking off, Joe, or are you just getting ready?
There was 3 exits before that off of 10.
Well, you're not talking about Chalmette, are you?
I don't know.
Just as you cross over the long bridge.
Were you using that as a
on this
sign?
side?
Were you using?
So that was
I could, but I didn't want to.
like
Children's
New
hospital.
Orleans-y.
I could.
It was New Orleans-y.
Okay, there was some kind of children's hospital there, but it was closed. There was an
Well,
I've slid that.
almost
Aber-
all the hospitals are still
if I
closed.
didn't have a slide and use that works.
This may help you. I think it was called
Really
Aber
works
Mason
good,
High
actually,
School. Aber Mason High School or Amber Mason High
I've
School.
slid all over.
See, a lot of the
Something.
Vietnamese lived over there. A lot of Vietnamese. We had a lot of Vietnamese refugees that moved in there in the late '70s and early '80s, and then.
Well, that town, it'll never be back again because the Walmart, they come in, they pulled their sign. They literally pulled their sign off of the Walmart store, the Supercenter. Well, it wasn't a Supercenter, it was just regular Walmart. And the rest of it's just there. You can walk through you can go through the boards on the store. They tried to board it up, but people busted in them. And there's just merchandise just laying everywhere.
It's been underwater.
So it's an abandoned.
It's just abandoned
Walmart.
You could tell the businesses that cared. Lowe's come in and cleaned their whole area up, and there's nothing but just a shell there for Lowe's. Walmart didn't do that. Target didn't do that.
There was no profit to be made in that. There was no money to be made for cleaning it up.
We come to a strip mall.
They got they said we declared it all for insurance. They got their insurance and they didn't clean it up.
No, but let me clarify here. The Walmarts in the city area where there was some population, Walmart and Sam's opened up almost immediately after.
Yeah, those did. I'm talking
and
about
was
like
there
a
for
town.
people to get water and whatever they needed. But probably because it was abandoned out there, they just
that was
abandoned
it. I mean,
it
the houses
too.
were all flattened. But what happened was we came up to a strip mall, and it had like Pizza Hut, and it had a U.S. Army and a Navy recruiting center in it. Their files are still there. for 3 years
What
or
a
5
great
years. You
place
can walk.
to film,
You can
'cause
walk.
you have, like,
I
these
did
ghost
film it.
towns
I
to
did
film.
I did a lot of
Did
filming.
you? Yeah.
You can walk right in and just grab anybody's file and just start going through it. They hadn't even, the Army hadn't even taken the files out of the student filing cabinets. But the Pizza Hut had went in and took everything out and cleaned it up nicely.
Talk about abandoned.
There was a Subway that left everything there, so you could tell the businesses that cared. The people that owned the Pizza Hut.
Oh, a Subway.
Yeah, the people that owned the Pizza Hut, they come in and cleaned
there
up.
are no Subways.
The Subway didn't get cleaned up. The laundromat, whoever owned the laundromat beside it all, their machines, they had 3 arcade machines. People had tilted them over, opened them up and took the cords out so they could survive. I'm imagining so they could survive. I don't think it was really looting. I think it was survival.
Well, you have to figure it out.
I think it was some of each.
Right.
But
after a while, though, if people who stayed there and stayed through it all, survival might have become a little hard. You know.
If you've lived there this whole time and you have kept your sanity, you're a very strong person.
I tell you what, the Burger King was shut down there. The Taco Bell was shut down. The McDonald's had shut their old building down, but had built a brand new one right beside it. There was a brand new McDonald's that was open, but there was nothing else. And all these businesses had just. There was it looks like a Firestone.
Has it been since
Firestone shop.
Right.
It was
just left
2
everything.
years?
It just left
2+
everything.
years.
Is it 2 years? Is it 2 years or 3 years
was,
since Katrina?
It was
Was
apparently
in 05.
somewhere.
It was in 05.
No, it was
So
in the
it's 2
4.
years.
No, it was in 4.
No, I think it was.
No,
It seems to me that a person could go to a place like that and
our flood was in 4, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And that's right.
Yeah.
It was 5.
and get a bunch of stuff, because there's a bunch of abandoned stuff. Like, for instance, in the Firestone places, probably the tools are laying there and stuff like that.
No,
Right.
I'm sure
Most of
cleared
it's
out.
gone. Most of the good stuff's gone.
Okay.
It's what's left. Like when you're walking through the Walmart store, I've got it on film. It's just stuff is trashed.
The thing is, like, if, and it's a legal matter, I guess, but if those businesses don't own those properties anymore, then to do some research and find out, well, who is responsible for cleaning this mess up, for getting to it, because
Well, it's just a matter of get in line.
get in line.
Yeah, there
Get in
is.
line.
You got that.
Because there's so many. There's so it's so much.
Right, it's not like it's one. We're not dealing with one or two here, are
But
we?
you know what's the
Get
stupid
in
about it
line.
is you got all this
But
trash that needs to be picked up.
ethically, if you
So,
own
if
the
you got
company
a
or whatever,
leather
regardless
skirt
of
on,
whether
is
it
that
was
leather?
yours or not,
Oh, that's nice.
you would make the effort. You would make
should.
the effort to clean.
I mean, they come in and they pulled their sign off the wall.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, that's
Are you
valuable.
leaving?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we've got a 7
You
o'clock
going?
dinner date.
Oh, you
so
do?
I gotta
Okay.
go. So I'm sorry,
Okay.
but
I'm glad
but
you're
I
back.
want to talk to.
I'm glad you got
some
back
more about
safely.
New Orleans.
Well, don't forget
Yeah.
your cards.
I'm not.
We were gone for almost 6 weeks.
And I'm
But
gonna.
I'm glad you're back safe.
I'm glad to be, boy,
Yeah.
you don't know how glad I
I'm
was
glad
to
to be back too. Shoot, I went out of the country, but man, alive, I felt like I was.
Well,
But I
I
tell
had a
you,
hard time getting back in the country, but boy, once I hit that ground in Charlotte, I was like, I'm so happy.
Mr. Blackwell, it's been a pleasure.
Okay.
Thanks for having me over.
Look what it
Yeah,
says
so we'll
there.
have to compare our footage, and both of us put
Yeah.
programs
Yeah.
on because I've got
absolutely,
footage to put on too.
I did a lot of
And I've got
documentary
like an
work on
upper
those
middle
days.
class guy talking about who lived right down the 17th Street Canal, giving me a really good interview about rebuilding his house and why he's there and wondering why he's there. And,
Well, I found
and
it
the
easy to
whole
talk to these people. All I had to do is, they were reluctant at first, but I told them, I said, I'm doing a story on how the government and the state has failed you, and would you like to talk? And they was like, yeah, let's talk.
bit. I know.
Let's talk.
Thank you all for coming. Please come back soon.
Sorry I was late. I was running behind today. I'm normally here at 6. But
It's good to have the gang back. Y'all are the gang, and we really had the gang back today, didn't we?
Yeah.
hell, the gang's all here.
I told my friend's band acoustically to show up, and we'll see. They're playing tomorrow night, so we'll see how they work out. But see you later.
Cool.
All right.
Cool.
All right. Well, thank you.
And be on at 2:00 tonight.
Tomorrow night.
All right, cool.
I'm not on tonight. I think I'm on tomorrow.
Sounds
Night.
good.
Let me see. I can move this one a little bit. And I can be on the show with you.
You know what was so funny about it though is that you've got all this trash to pick up. You got all these trees that need to be cut up. You got all these houses and roads and streets that need to be fixed.
Right.
And nothing's being done. However, when you're driving back on 110 or on 10, and you're driving back off of the the New Orleans Island or whatever you want to call it. So
Right.
you're getting back on the mainland there.
Right.
They're building a brand new bridge into New Orleans.
Well, yeah.
And this must be this thing's huge. It must be a $3 to $5 billion bridge, I would imagine. Billion with a B.
Uh-huh.
And they're out there working on it. And we got footage of them out there working on this bridge. And I'm thinking, well, why would the state continue pumping dollars into this bridge
to go to
a town that they ain't even cleaned up?
That's devastating.
I don't understand.
Maybe they need to get that bridge fixed so that they'll have good transportation.
Well, the bridge I drove on seemed to be pretty nice.
In order to haul that trash out.
I don't know. I just honestly don't know.
It probably has something to do with the contractor that's making the money by building the bridge.
Probably.
I'd be willing to bet something on that. How about you? But I mean, at least that's probably good that that's being done. New Orleans can always use a new bridge.
They can always use a new bridge.
That's right, a new bridge, and I guess the powers that be probably think, it's been my idea for a while, that the powers that be think that the way to do is just bide their time, wait until property values bottom out, everybody is left, and then sort of start to try to rebuild upscale.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. I mean, there's going to be...
So they can buy the property for nothing.
There's going to be a boatload of millionaires made off of that property. Because right now you can go by and you can find signs that says, there's plenty of signs out front of houses that just says, call me, make offer, and it gives a cell phone number. And I imagine they're somewhere in America. And you call them, and you probably just make an offer on their home, and they'll take it. Because the one thing the federal government did get done, according to the people I talked to, was their house loans were forgiven. They did manage to get the banks to forgive their house loans.
I'm glad for that.
So
I didn't know that.
Even though they might have only gotten $5,000 or $6,000 or $7,000, at least they don't have a mortgage anymore.
That is good.
So kudos to the government for that, anyway.
Right.
But now here you are sitting here with a piece of property that should be worth $300,000, $400,000, $500,000,
and it's worth
$3,000
or $4,000 maybe.
Maybe.
It'll cost you that to haul the garbage off of it, won't it?
Well, I don't know. I mean, some of them were still in fairly good condition because most of them are brick homes.
Yeah.
And from what I was looking
at, have you seen inside?
Oh yeah, I walked inside a bunch of them, and a lot of them have already managed to take their sheetrock off. Right. They've taken their ceilings down, and they've had it. You can tell it's been pressure washed, so all the mold's gone. So it's down just to the bare wood. The foundation looks fine. The outside looks fine. I'd imagine the house.
The floor's gone or not?
The floors are gone. They're just concrete. They're just pads. They're just houses just built on pads.
Oh, okay.
And
not so bad.
And so don't see any cracks in it though. And I would imagine you could, they'd still be worth $75,000. I would imagine because they were on a good little piece of property. But you got to figure, you pick one up say for $75,000 to $100,000, put another $50,000 in sheetrock and paint and carpet in it. And now you've got a house that's worth $750,000 again, or not $750,000, but $250,000 again. So you're going to boost your profit by $100,000, $150,000 maybe. It's not a bad deal for somebody to go down there and pick up a lot of those properties.
Right, and I expect that things like that and even more extreme will be going on.
Oh yeah,
people developing.
A lot of the rebuilding that we did see was from people that had picked up the properties, and we talked to them about it, and they said, "Oh no, we just bought this property and we're just fixing it up."
You'll see a lot. You'll see if the big people come in, they'll just want to take it out, even if there's houses that could easily be rebuilt. They'll just want to strip them,
and they'll build brand new houses just so that the memory, everything's gone.
They will, they will.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's a certain stench down there too.
Yeah. Everything molded bad too, and if they're not going to pick that garbage up, they're going to have that stench.
Well, yeah, and I mean, it was. I don't know. I almost likened it to a death smell. It is a death smell,
really, and I have a friend who went down there and he worked.
Yeah.
On the cleanup, and he was part of the cleanup, and he worked for a while there, and he left, and he said one of the things that he could not stand. He said the smell of dead bodies was everywhere, and he says that after a while, he says that gets to you.
Yeah, and it was devastating. I mean, it was. It's things that I had a lot of questions to ask government officials, but couldn't find any. So all I had to do was rely on the people themselves.
See, and you could ask those people at Area 51, right?
Sure.
You found some government officials there, didn't you?
Absolutely. Why are you up here harassing me?
When you should be cleaning up New Orleans. Right, that makes sense, doesn't it?
But love them or hate them, and I know there's a line there that people either love New Orleans people or they hate New Orleans people because they think it's a big sin. But love them or hate them, they got treated wrong. Plain and simple, they're human beings.
Right.
It's like I told every single one of them. I looked at them and I told them, I said, look, I said, you're an American citizen, and you are not only that, but you're a human being created by God, and you have been let down by your state and federal government.
Right. And a lot of people who haven't been there, if people haven't been there, they may not know. But a lot of times when people are talking about New Orleans and they've been let down and stuff like that, if you've not been there, you may not know that New Orleans is basically a black city.
Yes.
And
everybody we talked to was black.
There are white sections of New Orleans, but they're like what most of us are accustomed to, primarily white cities that have some black sections in them. Well, New Orleans is the opposite, and it's the only town I really know of any size in this country that is the opposite of that. It's primarily a black city with some white sections in it. And it seems pretty obvious that the federal government has not given the kind of aid to the black city that it would have given to a white city.
Yeah. I agree with you there. I will disagree.
It gives that impression. It certainly gives that impression.
I will disagree now. I did agree with this, what I'm fixing to say now, earlier, but now that I've actually seen it and talked to these people, I disagree with this. A lot of people have to think it is not only a black issue, but a poor issue. But the devastation we've seen not only affected the poor, but they was $750,000 to $1 million homes that were just demolished at the federal and still trashed. I mean, so they didn't pick out rich or poor. It didn't seem to me. It just seemed to me that the only thing they picked out was black, because the white neighborhoods, as you call them, that we went into,
they got the trash picked up.
Were being cleaned. They were the houses were being fixed up, and those people wouldn't talk to us. They were white people, and they wouldn't talk to me. They wouldn't talk to me at all. They wouldn't go on camera and say anything. You don't see those little FEMA trailers out in front of their houses.
Right, they weren't living in FEMA trailers.
They're not living in FEMA trailers. But when you go into the predominantly, if not all, black neighborhoods, you've got people that are living in these FEMA trailers. Now, every one of them talked to me. All them people was happy.
There's some friendly folks down there, aren't they?
Very friendly folks. Yeah. And it's like I told them all, I said, you guys are human beings, you're United States American citizens, and you guys have been let down.
The folks from down in New Orleans have a reputation for being a sweet bunch of folks.
They are nice folks. Yeah. And I tell you, it's pathetic and pitiful the way it looked and the way it smelled and the way it was. And I was just watching some of the footage. I just quickly put some of the footage on DVD, about 35 minutes or so. And we were sitting there watching it the other night, and it just brought tears back to my eyes again, because it's just.
And this is a show you'll be putting on the air.
Yeah, I'll be putting a show on the air about it. It's amazing. It's amazing. I mean, people. It's only like a 12-hour drive from here, if it's even that much. It may not even be.
That's a long drive, though. I've made the drive. Have you been to New Orleans before this, or was this your first time?
First time. So I didn't make the drive down. I made the drive back, and I was able to make the drive. It may not even be that much. We started back.
I think it takes at least 12 hours. It's a long drive.
We started back. We were right in downtown New Orleans and starting to head back home at about 3:45 in the afternoon. And it was about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And then we stopped for supper, too. And I still walked in the front door at 3:15 Monday morning, a.m., 3:15 a.m. I just drove straight, other than stopping for gas a couple times and stopping and eating supper, about 35 minutes for supper. And so that's, about 10 hours. No matter what it is, I'd suggest that anybody take a weekend and go down there. And I would highly recommend it, because the more people that go down there and see this devastation, the more people's going to get angry and they're going to stand up and they're going to say, look, this.
Well, in the long run, it's what made it's what made the press angry. It was really the turning point for what was going on when they saw the amount of money that was going overseas to a war that nobody wanted.
Right.
And then when they saw our people here at home just absolutely abandoned by the government, so that seemed to be the turning point for the media.
We're doing more for the people in Iraq and Afghanistan than they've even started to do.
And they hate our guts.
With
good reason.
They hadn't even started. They hadn't even scratched the surface with the amount of money that they put into New Orleans. And my question was what happened to this $3 billion that was supposed to went to New Orleans? And even further than that, what happened to the money that there was, $300 or $400 million raised in that concert? Where did all that go?
Where'd it go? Maybe that's what's cleaning up the white communities. I don't
understand it. But I did a quick math just in my head, and so I'm sure it's off somewhere. But just in my head on the way back that night,
you're probably like me. You estimate well, don't you?
Yeah, I do too. And so I was doing some quick math, and I told my wife, I said, if they just took the amount of money that they spent in Iraq for 30 days.
Oh yeah.
They could give everybody the value of their home. They could say, okay, your home's worth $150,000. Here's $150,000.
Rebuild your home.
Your home's worth $200,000. Here's $200,000. And you're not being biased to anybody. You're just giving exactly what their home was worth before
and
the taxed value.
And
go to the tax records.
You'd have New Orleans rebuilt.
And the people that took that money and run, that's their own fault.
Yeah,
that's their own fault.
That's right.
In fact, they could put a stipulation on it. We'll give you the money if you will rebuild.
Or they could let them run. They could give them the money and let them run and let them sell their property to somebody else.
That's I think they might fare better off if they put that clause in there that you can sell your house, but you need to fix it up.
They might. Here's what they could do. They could say, here's the money. You can take your money and run, but if you take your money and run, then we get your property.
Well, you could do that, and you owe taxes on the money.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if you rebuild, it's tax-free money.
See something like that. So not make them say that, because I can see a good reason why people might say, no, when a hurricane hits this place, I'm not going to be here for another hurricane. I'm not going to be here. I can see that. I can see that. So that's totally legitimate. So if they want to take the money and run, there should be stipulations. Then they can't sell their property.
Right.
Here's your money. Have a good time.
Pay taxes on it and
have a good trip. Right, and then we'll sell your property at a really low price to somebody else who wants to come back down and develop it and live and build the community.
But they could do that with just I figured about 30 days worth of money. That's it, just 30 days worth of money they spend in Iraq. They could pay for every home down there.
Right, and then if you look at everything that's been so a month's worth of that could fix New Orleans. Mm-hmm. All right, a year's worth of that. Look what that could do to fix what else is wrong in this country. Yeah. We've got a big problem, guys.
We've got a big problem. A big problem. This country is going broke, and it's going broke fast.
For some crazy reasons. Reasons.
And our federal government just printing a bunch of money up.
Right.
That's not going to work. That's not going to work. That's not going to work.
Right.
All you're doing is just fueling the fire.
That's right. Look at this. You just got us all politicized, didn't you?
I didn't mean to.
Well, we do that.
New Orleans is devastating, though. Right. It's devastating, and that's enough to.
I'm glad to hear that from you. And if I'm not mistaken, let me introduce Randini. I believe I believe you are, and I believe you would consider yourself on the conservative side of things. Mm-hmm. But when faced with the truth, it wins out, doesn't it?
Well, that's it. I mean, I may be a little on the conservative side, but I don't really classify myself in that area. You're more than a little on the conservative. Okay, but I just want the truth. The truth.
Right.
That's all I'm looking for is the truth.
And sometimes it hurts. Sometimes the truth
hurts.
You may not know how much. Mm-hmm. But it can be very upsetting.
And just making sure that the federal government does exactly what it was meant to do, which is protect and serve. not nose into our business, not push us around.
Which seems to be what they think.
Serve.
Yeah, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do the role again because I think it's time. I'm going to tell you about my new role while I'm doing this role.
Okay.
Okay. My new role that I'm trying to get together is
while we're not on camera
is the 420 role. I'm trying to get Thank you so much. I'm trying to get a 420 role together, and I'm going to get an alarm clock and let it go off about 4:19, and then at 4:20. Then do a 420 roll, and so I'll roll it from 420 to 430, about a 10-minute roll, and I'm going to try to put together little things like, it's my old Anarchy TV show, maybe an old band, maybe a new band, maybe just some crazy talking people on the street and stuff like that, just some crazy, wacky stuff, 10 minutes. Right. I'm going to bring in a little 10-minute clip and call it the 420 roll, and roll it from 420 to 430, a little 10-minute clip. and
that'll be the 220 roll.
It'll be, and then on the repeats, it'll be the 220 roll for most of the repeats. That's right. Write me a letter to this address. All right. There we go. And but I have yet to have the first letter written to the Mad Scientist Tea Party. I haven't heard of anybody who's received a letter to
I've never received. I've received some emails, but they were all good. They're all good emails, like, we like your show, we like what you're doing, maybe you could talk about this, maybe you could do
do I have an email address on that? I don't think I do. I need to add that. Maybe I can get an email.
Yeah, you probably should.
I might get an email.
Absolutely.
I was a little freaky about even putting my email address on there because...
I'll get you a free Yahoo. That's what I do.
Well, I got a Yahoo now.
Yeah. Just some old off-the-wall Yahoo. We just got sound off bunkum at Yahoo.com.
Okay, because my first really serious email address and all just became a huge spam magnet. Yeah. And I made several mistakes when I was new to the internet and I didn't know what I was doing at all, and I gave my email address out to people who were selling it off, and so then the spam started rolling in pretty quick, and then at the bottom of the letter at the page, and maybe everybody at home now pay attention to this, then at the bottom of the page it would say, well, if you don't want to receive this spam, you send us an email back and tell us to stop. Well, if you send an email back, no matter what you're telling them to do, stop or start or jump up and down, whatever you're telling them, then you're in a new category that's even better. It's the this email address responds to
we have a live person
to spam, right, and then they are relentless. You'll get 10. They will send you 10 times as much. That outfit will send you guaranteed at least 10 times as much spam if you send them one back and say, quit sending me this spam. And then if you really push them and all, they'll send you this really polite email that says, we're off the air.
Yeah, we have been for a little while.
All right. Well, we're gonna.
I thought you knew. I thought we were just chatting.
No. Did we?
Yeah, that cut us off at 6:58.
Oh, we're back to that again.
Judging by that clock.
Okay. Well, let me do